everybody. How are you doing? I apologize for this late night, but I did not want to let February 28th go without us getting together for one last time. At least one last time for the month of February. We are wrapping up our February Homemaking with Denise daily live stream, where we did one live stream every day except for the weekend for the month of February. And I must admit, I am glad tonight is the last night, because I tell you what, it has been a lot of work. It has been a lot of fun, but it has also been a lot of work. So I am glad to say that tonight is the last night for our daily live stream. And I just wanted us to get together and wrap things up. So who is with me tonight? Kim's World Light. Hello, Kim. I'm glad you are here. And Kim, let me know, have you been here with me this month for, how many days of the live stream have you been here for? Let me know. And who else is here? Crafty Scorpio. Boom. I'm glad to have you here with me tonight, because I did want to address your point that you made on the poll. So let me just go ahead and just get started. I do have my notes here just to make sure that I'm on target. But we've been together for this month. We've covered a lot of different topics, and I, for one, have had a great time. These daily live streams have been so much fun, and I have learned so much. And I hope that they have been enjoyable and fun for you guys as well. So tonight we're going to wrap up our February series, and then we can talk about what do you guys want to see for March. And I'm going to also address the poll that I put out on my community tab earlier in the week. So first of all, let's just take a look at what we covered this month. And I tell you what, when I took a look at the different live streams that we had, I just took a look at our content. And you know what? We covered a lot of things. I got my iPad like right here, and I'm looking at it to kind of see what we talked about. And we talked about a spice pantry refresh, which was yesterday. That was the last one we did. And I ended up showing you guys into my spice pantry. We talked about a lot more things and a lot more items than I had really intended for us to get into. We talked about creating homemaking routines that actually work for you. Me and Miss Leona talked about that one. And that one was actually to help you look at your own particular situation and what it is that you needed to do. We talked about habit stacking and the power of routines, and how stacking different habits with another task can just kind of ease your homemaking just a bit. We talked about how to do a Monday reset, getting started at the beginning of the week with the Fly Lady plan, which was the weekly home blessing, and the free day, and then the plan day and errand day and card and purse day, and family day, renew your spirit, and then the zone work. We talked about that and how to make that work for you. And then we got to talking about how to make some DIY mixes. And I must admit, that was one of the fun parts for me, was the DIY mixes. So let me know as we go through this, and I mentioned what are some of the things we covered. What was one of the fun parts for you? How did you like a particular show? Which was your best one, or your favorite one, I should say? So after the first DIY, rather the last DIY mixes we did was spice mixes, where we made chili seasoning and taco seasoning, and Miss Leona's Miss Leona's house seasoning, and Italian seasoning, and some things like that. Things that you might typically buy, but having been able to put them together on your own was certainly a big boon to be able to do that. And then we had a live stream with Miss Leona on her channel where we talked about using our kitchens to bring the best to our families, which meant we were gathering around, gathering in cozy into our kitchens. And we talked about how we show our families love in the arena of our kitchen, the different things that we do in there. So let me ask you, how do you show love to your family through your kitchen? Inquiring minds want to know. And then we did the rice mixes. And the rice mixes, I agree, was a lot of fun as well. However, one of the things that I forgot to mention when we talked about it was that typically when you cook rice, you cook the rice with a 1-to-2 ratio, 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. And when I cooked my rice mix for the first time, I wasn't like really looking at the jar as a cup and a half of rice, but I looked at the jar as 2 cups. And so I added 4 cups of water to that 1 jar. So I looked at the jar as 2 cups. So when I'm talking about that, what I mean is this, and here I am up already. Didn't think I would be, but so let's say this was the jar, and I'm thinking of this jar as 2 cups, and it was full, and so I added 2 jars of water, not thinking that only up to here, a jar and a half, like up to here, like a cup and a half was rice, and the rest was other stuff, and I should have just put in 3 cups of water in with my cup and a half of rice and other things. So if any of you have made any of your rice mixes so far, let me know, and let me know how they turned out for you. Now, despite the fact that I added too much water and I believe that the rice was a little gummy, my husband loved it. It is now gone. We had rice every day for a few days and he absolutely loved it. He said, this is fine. There was nothing wrong with it as far as he was concerned. The other thing we did, and we spent a lot of time this month talking about eggs and the price of eggs. And so we did do a show where I showed you some things that I had made, like, look, Mom, no eggs. I had done some eggless baking. And we talked about stop using repurposed jars to can in. Even though the jar might be a mason jar, and what I'm talking about is, I'll show you. I got one out right here. Gonna be running my dishwasher when we're done. But a jar, well, this one doesn't say mason on it, but a jar such as this. So I remember my mom used to use all kinds of jars to can stuff in. And I will admit, though, at the time, she did use, like she would put wax at the top of the jar. She would pour wax in. But here, I'll show you what I mean. Let me grab it. You guys know it wouldn't be a bona fide live stream if I didn't leave the screen for some reason. Okay. So it wouldn't be a bona fide live screen, Denise, if I didn't leave the screen for some reason. So this jar, we talked about how these jars might say Atlas mason jars on them, and the mouth fits our other, our regular mouth mason jars. And you might think, oh, well, I can use those to can in. But we had talked about, well, who remembers why you should not use these to can in? Who remembers why we should not use these to can in? And I'll come back and see if anyone remembers that. But that was the thing we talked about. And I had like, stop in my thumbnail. The other thing we did was we did soup mixes. We did 5 easy soup mixes. And I was really thrilled with those. Haven't made one up yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And I did talk to my daughter about it. And one of the questions that popped up with the soup mixes, some of the soup mixes were bean soup, some were the noodle soup. One of you guys said you made the noodle soup already and that it was delicious, and then you were going to share that recipe with your daughter. If anybody else made up any of those soup mixes, let me know. But some of those soup mixes had beans in them, and the question was, well, how are you going to rinse those beans? And the the person who ran the channel where I had got the bean recipe from, she said that what you would want to do is pour the bean soup mix in a colander such as this. Hold it, oh, and when you do that, you have it over a pot or a bowl such as this. And then, you give it a good shake and you let all the seasonings run through. And then you take the beans and rinse them off in the sink. And then some of the recipes called for putting, say, the pasta in a little baggie inside the jar, and you would just take that pasta out, set it aside, and or do whatever you had to do. So I asked her, I said, so what do you think? And she said, Mom, those are beautiful. And then I told her about our conversation. So I said, now, if I'm giving you this gift, what would you want me to do? Would you want me to put the spices in a little bag? Because I showed her how I had these little bags that the spices could go in. Or would you want me to leave it pretty so that you could get the whole impact? And she said, put the spices in the bag or put the pasta in the bag and just give me the instructions in the jar rather than leaving it pretty. Then I have to figure it out later. So let me know if any of you guys made one of the bean soup mixes and what those results were for you and how you handled the rinsing of the beans. So let me just see who's on here, what you guys are saying. Because it looks like there's quite a few people leaving comments. So, and Kim, like I said, it's good to see you. I'm always glad to have you here. And Crafty Scorpio, I am so glad you were able to join too. Angel and Habits of a Homemaker. Oh my goodness. I am so pleased that you had the time to join me tonight. I know you are so busy with those kidlets of yours. And how are they doing? You have such a beautiful family. So how are you doing? And maybe me getting on late allowed you to be able to join us because I know this could be bedtime for several of your littles, and that gives you a little bit more free time. Um, but thank you for joining us. I'll have you on the show again. That was so much fun when you were on the show. For you guys that are here, Habits of a Homemaker is Angel, and she has a lovely homemaking channel. And Angel is a very godly woman and believes in living out her faith, and she weaves that into what she brings to homemaking. So definitely check her out. I think you would really enjoy her channel. And I know when she was on my show one day, people got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I will admit that I was at church one day and I was standing out front waiting for my husband. He was parking the car, I believe. And a young lady walked up to me and said, Miss Denise. And I'm like, yeah. Well, she had been following my YouTube channel. And so she was surprised to see me at this particular church. I had just started going there and just wanted to let me know how much she enjoyed my channel. And she said, and I really enjoyed it when Angel from Habits of a Homemaker was on there. So not only did she say she enjoyed me, but she also enjoyed you when you were on that day with us. So again, thank you for blessing us with your presence. So let's see who else is there. And then there's Jean. Kim said she was here off and on for the month. She was able to catch a few lives and a few replays. And let's see. Ruth said she's watched all the videos this month, some live and some on her TV when she returned home. Hey, I'm glad you were able to, and I hope they were able to bless you in some way. And Jean says she's looking forward to watching the rice video. Okay. Sierra, hey, she's in California. So that means right now it's dinner time, but she just had to jump on and say how much she loved the daily lives and appreciate the work I put into them. And Jean's going to be listening while she's doing other things. And Teresa, glad to catch me live. Teresa, I was feeling bad that I had to jump on so late. And today was one of those days I was really busy. So you guys know I've had a cousin that's been, most of you know, I've had a cousin that's been ill. Well, she's out of the hospital, and I've been either picking up meals or making meals for her. So today, you know, was the economic blackout. There was like a no spend day. So I was making a meal to take to her today. So I actually made meals for her for today and tomorrow. So by the time I got done with that, I was tired. And so then, you know, my husband packed everything up into the car and then we took it over there and visited with her for a little bit. Our son dropped in to visit, so we visited with him for a little bit. And then my friend Florence at Equip Institute had her Iron Sharpens Iron show tonight at 6:30. And so I had to, you know, go to that because I've been going to her summit every Friday at 6:30. So I had thought I would do the live at 5. Well, then when my son dropped in at 5, I thought, oh, well, we'll have to do it closer to 8 o'clock once Florence's show is over. But it turned out that maybe this time was good for those of you that can't make it earlier. So speaking of that, let me just ask a question while I've got you guys on here. I'm working on the plans for my Laundry Lab Challenge. I plan to have that go live on March 31st. So if laundry is your nemesis, if you absolutely positively hate to do laundry and you want some tips and tricks and some ideas on how to get control of your laundry so that you don't always have piles of dirty laundry sitting around, so that you feel in control, be sure to sign up for that Laundry Lab Challenge. But the question to you now is this. What's the best time for you if you were going to jump on the challenge? I was trying to debate between 11 o'clock in the morning. I was thinking about 5:30 in the afternoon or 7 o'clock at night. So let me know which one of those times would be easiest for you to attend, because I know some of the people that are going to be wanting to join the challenge are going to be homemakers with littles. And I know that, you know, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you've got kids just getting home from school. So I know that's probably not a good time. 5 o'clock is usually dinner time. So that's probably not a good time. So I'm thinking probably about 7 or 7:30 might be the best time. But then we just had someone who's in California and it's dinner time for her. So let me know. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be best for that. But let's see. Teresa, thank you. And then Ruth said she's made sure to like each video. And she's also been sharing my information with some of her clients that she thinks could be helpful. She works providing cleaning and home care in her community. Oh, how nice. And then Sierra says that I thought there was a way I could show those, but I don't know how to do it on the phone. But Sierra says she really feels like having these daily lives helped her mindset to remembering as a homemaker that I am in charge of my home and it's not in charge of me. Boom, you got to get a boom for that. She said that these daily lives helped her to realize or remember that she's in charge of her home and the house is not in charge of her. I like that. Okay, let me get back to talking about what we were talking about. We were talking about the different streams that we had covered. And one of the things that I had mentioned, we talked about the soup mixes. And then I also did a show about the flu season. And that flu season is here. And flu season goes until the middle of March. And sometimes it might even kind of drag into that first week of April. But typically, flu season starts in good fashion in January and goes through the end of March. And right now, in addition to the flu season, they're dealing with the norovirus as well as COVID is still here. And then we got the measles. We haven't had measles in this country in years. And now we've got an outbreak in Texas and then I think somewhere else now. So let me just encourage all of you to make sure that your children are immunized. And the measles is not just a childhood illness. Now, I know when I was a kid, I was actually a child once, but when I was a kid, they thought childhood diseases were no big deal, that it was just that. And if somebody got the measles, they would put all of us together, all of our cousins, so that we would all catch it, and then we would all have it at the same time and all get over it at the same time. But the measles is more than red, itchy eyes, a runny nose, and then a red rash where you're scratching and all that kind of thing. Measles can cause blindness, Measles can cause deafness. They just had a child and an adult die recently related to measles. You guys know I'm a retired community health nurse, so I believe in science and I believe in immunization and vaccines. And I remember when my two youngest sisters were babies, they were like toddlers or something, and I was my very first job. I was a nursing assistant at one of our local hospitals. You guys know I've always been in healthcare. And I remember I worked on the pediatric floor too. And I remember there was this baby that was so sick. It had the worst cough. And I remember saying to one of the nurses, why is this baby so sick? And the nurse said, because she hasn't had her shots. This baby had whooping cough. I went home that day and I asked my mom, have, so and so had their shots? Well, they hadn't had those. They had a couple, but they hadn't had them all. And at that time, sometimes, depending upon what was going on, they would have mass immunizations at local places. And they were having a whooping cough immunization at a local elementary school close to my house. And I had my mom take me and our two little sisters, and we took them to that mass immunization clinic so that they could get immunized for whooping cough. So that was my first effort at community nursing and community health. So if your children have not been immunized, please do that. And I know that sometimes it's been a little controversy. Some people have tried to tie immunizations to autism and all of that, but the science does not support that. Now, I know some parents, rather than letting their kids get 4 or 5 shots all at once, will say, look, we're going to get them one at a time, or we're just going to get 2 and we'll come back to get the others. So you decide how you're going to do that, but there is a schedule for when those shots need to be given and how they should be handled. So please do take advantage of that. But the video, before I went off on my tangent, was about the Homemaker's Guide to Flu Season. So let me know what you've got prepared in your home for if the flu should happen. And not necessarily the flu, but maybe those family members end up with a bad cold or something like that. So what do you have in regards to that? And then we talked about eggs several times, so I'm not going to go into that again. But we did talk about how to freeze eggs. And we've used some of our frozen eggs a couple of times, and they cooked up nicely without any problem at all. And I was at Kroger yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. And while we were there, I didn't go to get eggs, but I thought, let me just look at eggs while I was there. And the price of eggs was, as my cousin said, ridiculous. And then we talked about simplifying your morning routines, and also the simple homemaking acts to kind of help you feel under control, like the bed making and dishes and all that kind of thing. So let me know which one of those shows was your favorite and what did you learn the most from? And let me see what I've got on my notes here to see if there's something that I wanted to pull up. So let me ask you, we've had about, there are 28 days in February, and we probably had lives for about 23 of those 28 days. So what one change have you decided to make as a result of our February homemaking season? And that was the whole idea behind the series, was that I could provide to you some tips or tricks or something to help you make a change in your home so that you felt more in control. So tell me in the comments if you're on the replay, but those of you in my live tribe, let me know in the chat what change you've made in your routine this month and if it's made a difference for you. And also, if you've explored any of the soup mixes, using up any of those, let me know how you felt with those. And the habit stacking, what habit have you tried to stack with another one? That's something that can really help you work things out. And one of the things that I did this week a couple of times was fold laundry while I sat in the family room and watched TV or watched a program with my husband. So I combined those two tasks, whereas normally I would fold the laundry either in here or upstairs, and he would be in there. But I really enjoyed folding it in there, even though it wasn't as convenient, not having the counter in front. But I did have a little coffee table in front, so it was okay. But I found that I did enjoy um, sitting in there with him because we could make comments about the program we were watching while I folded the laundry, and then he would carry the laundry upstairs. So there was a little method to my madness as well as that. So there's that. And then, have you tried any egg substitutes? Oh, and speaking of egg substitutes, so when we went to the grocery store and I looked for eggs, I saw some plant-based egg substitutes, but that was it. I didn't see any of those. I didn't see a carton of egg whites that you used to see. I didn't see those egg beaters, those egg products that I'm used to seeing before eggs became a thing. I didn't see any of those. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And speaking of interesting, there is a couple on a YouTube channel called Classics TV. And Classics is spelled kind of interestingly, just to kind of bring attention to the name of the channel. And they did 2 videos about the egg shortage. One of them, they're selling eggs out of their house, and the other one, they had got some chickens and they were really selling eggs out of their house. They were the funniest things. I will find them and link them in the description box. But if you've seen those shorts, let me know. And let me know what you think about them. But they were absolutely hilarious. Typically, this guy is in the videos talking about millennial parents versus old school parents, or like what happens if you disrespect your mother, or if you get in trouble at school, what happens, or like if you're an old school teacher versus a millennial teacher versus a Gen X teacher. And he just kind of portrays the different generations and how different generations respond or react to different situations, and he is so funny. But the eggs take the cake. So I will link them in the description box, and so that you can check those out. But if you've seen them, let me know. So have you tried any of those egg substitutes? Let me know. So Sierra, the other thing that I've really enjoyed about this series is the daily chats. It has been so nice just chatting with you guys every day. So what I told my husband today was the last video of the series, and I was going to wrap up. He said, so what are you going to do for March? I said, well, it won't be a daily live stream, which I'm sure he's glad of, because he has to go on mute when I'm in the kitchen and he's in there. Because like our family room is like just straight ahead. It's like right across from where I'm at. So he can hear me talking. That's why I sometimes whisper. But he's got earbuds on right now while he's watching the ball game. But I have really enjoyed chatting with you guys every day. I feel like you guys have gotten to be my family, and it is so nice that we can chat about certain things. And we have such a nice community here, and I appreciate that. And then Ruth said she couldn't pick a favorite. Despite having been a homemaker with 5 children, she's learned something new each day. Oh, I'm so glad. It is very different from homemaking for just one person. Yes, it is. And sometimes I swear my husband generates as much laundry as a 2-year-old. And right now, almost as much mess as a 2-year-old, because he's rearranged the family room, because he said that the 2 like recessed lights in the ceiling above where his chair usually is, he said cold air comes down there. So he says we're gonna have to get the house insulated like sometime later this year. But for now, he moved the furniture around, and so he's got his chair where he sits closer to the kitchen. So he's like, I have to walk by it to get in and out of the room. And the little tables and the little, all the things that he works on to make bobbers and jigs and painting and all that kind of stuff has now come to this side of the room. And it's all around his chair so that he can like reach and grab. So, scissors and glue and feathers, and like he's gonna be very disappointed when Joann's closes, because he visits Joann's and Michael's and Hobby Lobby as much as I would like to go there, because he's buying beads and feathers and hooks and eyes and all kind of things. I have to show you some of the things that he's done when we're done. Oh, yeah, he had been working on a new um, pole rack. It was just a plain pole rack. It was just black. But if you got a blank canvas, he's going to color it for you. And so he's been working on all that kind of stuff. And it's just like all gathered around his chair. So I figure it works for now. When spring comes and it's a bit warmer, we'll get things moved back around. But for now, yeah. And thriving on enough. Thank you for many great tips. Oh, she froze a dozen eggs after I showed you. Good, good. Oh, Lenore says she's not a rice eater, but loves different grains. If you don't like rice, don't buy it. Oh, Magenta, thank you. You know what? These turquoise earrings, my granddaughter and grandson got me. Their family had gone to New Mexico for vacation one year, and this is what they brought me back. And so I just thought, you know what? I thought I'm wearing all black today. So I thought this will just, they'll just work out. So thank you. And Anita B, good to have you here. Oh, Judy T, you're new here. Everybody say hello to Judy T. She's new here in our community, and we like to make people feel welcome. So yes, Linda, thank you. Happy to the last day of February. I appreciate that. And we'll have to see what March brings to us. And Magenta says she has chickens and so didn't know about freezing eggs. So so helpful. And she appreciates my videos, all of them. Good information. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys saying that. I really do. And Kim said she loves the laundry lab. She saw her. I saw my problem easily. I bought those color safe sheets, so I just throw in everything together and use the sheet that way so the colors don't bleed. Okay, and that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about when I do my laundry lab challenge is that those color safe sheets. But, so anyway, yes, they are helpful. They are very helpful. So Buffy is saying 5:30 should work. Lenora, measles can cause meningitis or pneumonia in elderly. Yeah, they've had an adult death and a child death already from measles. So yeah, their measles is serious. And thank you for Girl Dad cooking up deliciousness. He is saying hit the like button if you haven't done it already. And Magenta's agreeing with vaccines. And Florence equipped. Hello, Florence. I am so sorry I didn't get into the VIP room tonight, but it was like as soon as your show was over, I had to come and get in here because I had to go on late tonight because life was life. And so here I am. But thank you so much for joining us. This is the last of my February season. So I appreciate that you actually came to join me. Oh, I did something. I don't know what I did. That's not what I meant to do. So now I got this little bitty screen, and I'm not sure what I did. There, that helped. So let's do that, and then we will do that. And yes, I was there on your summit, but I couldn't get into the VIP room. And then Lenora got revaccinated when she was in her early 60s and was around a lot of kids. Best thing she ever did. And yeah, you know what? They are suggesting that if you were born between a certain age, a certain time period, and I don't remember now what it was because they talked about it on the Gayle King show, that you might need to be revaccinated because if you've had them done so long ago, like, that you may need to have that booster redone. And Tamia is saying so many years ago, many kids got fits, and it seems like autism wasn't as, and you're right, autism wasn't as common as it is today, but there were some things going on. And I tell you what, I remember there used to always be behavioral issues in schools, always, and kids would act up and people would just say they were bad and they would get put in detention or kicked out of school or whatever. And We even had one relative who was always in trouble in school, always in trouble at home. And years later, we realized, the boy probably had a learning disability and it was just not something that was identified. And I remember there was a teacher who was much older than I was at the time. She was probably a good 30 years older than me when I was in grad school. And we were in an education class and we were talking about behavior issues and autism and learning disabilities. And she said she didn't believe in learning disabilities. She just figured the kids were just bad and they needed more discipline. But that was that old school mentality that they just needed more discipline. And we've since learned better. But yeah, you're right. You're right. What the connection is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But you're right. You're right about that. Claire, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so yeah, so you know what? We are really just really having a good time tonight. And we seem to be getting quite a few interesting visitors tonight as well. Timlin, oh my goodness. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me, Hazel G. Thank you. So yeah, so I was just doing, Timlin, is just saying hello to everyone. I am wrapping up my 28-day February homemaking series where I've given various tips and tricks and things like that for the month of February. And I was asking viewers to let me know which was their favorite live stream, or what habit are you stacking? What behavior or habit are you changing? Or if you've tried any of the various soup mixes that I've made, and let me know. So, and if you've missed any of my series, Timberland, and I'm sure you have, do go back and check it out. And guys, Timberland is one of my friends. She's in a group that I'm in on Monday nights. She has the most beautiful voice, the most beautiful voice. I just love to hear her talk. And very, very smart young lady, very smart young lady. But one of the things that I did do, though, was I took a poll. At least I put a poll up, and I wanted to see what were some of your biggest challenges. And what I found was kind of interesting. So here was the poll. The question was, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to homemaking? And I had 237 people respond. So I thought that was pretty good. And 43% said overwhelm was their biggest challenge. 14% said they didn't know where to start. 34% said they had too much to do. And 8% was other. And so when and they could comment below for other. And when I looked at some of the comments that people made, one crafty Scorpio who was with us tonight, she said finding trustworthy people to do repairs. Now that can be a challenge. I know they've got all these different little like online resources you can use. Like, I don't know if it's Angie's List or something like that, that gives you the names of different people in your area that do repair work. What you can always consider doing is contacting your friends and finding out, you know what, I'm having some trouble with my plumbing. Do you know of a good plumber? They may have had someone in and be able to refer to you someone that they've had to do some work for them. So don't neglect to take advantage of your community network. Find out from others, who's done what. In the old days, you would just look it up in the yellow pages, you'd call somebody out, and that was that. But it's not quite that simple anymore. First of all, there is no yellow pages, which is like the business directory that used to be in telephone books. For those of you that are saying, telephone book, what is that? Well, there was actually a time when the phone company would deliver to your home once a year a thick book that was white pages, and it had the phone number of every person in your city, their name, address, and phone number. Yeah, can you believe that? Your name and your address and phone number. And then there was a yellow pages that was delivered with that had the name, the address, and the phone number of businesses. Can you imagine just having everybody, just be able to pick up a phone book and look in there and just find your name and address in there? It's kind of scary to think about that today, but that was the way we used to live, and we didn't think a thing about it. So yeah, but there's that. So that's one way to do it. And then there is something called Yelp. Yelp, Yelp. And you can look on there and see reviews about different people who've done work in your community. So that's probably where I would start. And then I think you can also call the Better Business Bureau in your community and ask. So, I'm thinking about using this so-and-so business. Have you had any complaints about them? And if there's been any complaints, maybe the Better Business Bureau can let you know that. So let's see what folks are saying about that. Okay. All right. So Timberland is saying she's going to have to catch the replays. Timberland, I think you will enjoy them. And I'm not being too kind. And Hazel says she remembers those days of phone books and those kinds of things. So yeah, there's that. So now the second comment was from Wise Woman Linda, and she's on with us tonight. And she said her problem was fatigue. So again, so the question was, and I had it here somewhere. The question was, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to homemaking? And this is the other category that I'm referring to. So the first response was too overwhelmed. Second one was didn't know where to start. Third one, too much to do, and other. And so Linda says fatigue, and there were 4 people that thumbed up that answer. Hey, girlfriend, I can relate to that. That is partly why I am late tonight doing this live stream, because during the middle of the day, I was trying to cook to get that food ready for my cousin. By the time I got that done and my son dropped in and then Florence's show came on, I just had to sit down for a minute. So I was able to just kind of sit down and relax a little bit while I listened to Florence's show. And I didn't make many comments because I was just too tired. So I get it. So now, how do I handle fatigue? Well, first of all, one of the good things for me, and I think it could be helpful to you, is that I make sure that I work my cleaning method. And for those of you that follow me, for the most part, you guys know I like the Fly Lady cleaning system. And I have my routines, my morning routine, which is my daily swish and swipe, make the bed, start a load of laundry, and do the dishes. If I don't get anything else done that day, I feel a sense of accomplishment. So Linda, if that's all you get done that day, just do that. The other thing that I like to say is there is no catch up. And Fly Lady Cat used to always say that. She says there's no catch up. You just step in where you are. So what it means by that is that you don't feel like you're behind. So today is Friday. It's our car and purse day. I was busy today. Did I get my car or purse cleaned out? No. I'll look at that tomorrow. And if I don't get it done tomorrow, then I may get it done on Sunday. But it was like I got the important things done, the priority things done. I didn't worry about the nice things that need to get done. So if you feel like, there's like you can't get all the things done you want to get done in that day, then either one, maybe you're trying to do too much. And if that's the case, trim that down. And then 2, take care of the priority things, because as you get older, and my mom used to say, just keep on living. You'll see what I mean, just keep on living. And every day I think, okay, so this is what mom meant by keep on living. Like you and others that have reached, certain ages, I don't have the capacity to do as much as I did in one day. There's a time when I could have cooked up a storm and been good to go. Well, I got 2 of the meals cooked. I was going to cook a 3rd meal, but I thought, okay, I am tired. I'm going to have to cook that 3rd meal tomorrow. So I'll make that 3rd meal tomorrow for Sunday, and then she'll have that. But I just couldn't do it. And I had to just kind of sit down and rest. And like my husband's like, babe, you've been on your feet all day. Don't you need to sit down? And I'm like, yeah, I think I do. So, just take a breath, sit down, and don't plan to do so much in a day. And if there's some things that are not a priority that you don't get done, oh well. There'll be another day, and the next day you'll just step in where you are and you'll just do what you need to do. The other comment was from Andrea Robbins, and she's saying the same thing almost that Linda had to say, and that I kind of agreed or collaborated with. And she says, slowing down as I age. So one of the things that I did talk about, me and Miss Leona both talked about when we talked about creating a homemaking routine that works for you, you have to consider your season of life. You have to consider your season or your where you are in the life cycle, and you can only do what you can do. And someone else, right beneath that one, Cynthia said, dealing with a chronic condition and never knowing when I'll ache too much to accomplish things. So for the three of you, the answer is the same. You have to look at what season of life you're in. Where are you on that life cycle? And you can just do what you can do. Don't plan to do too much. If you've got a chronic illness and you know that, let's say maybe by 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning, you're tired and you need to rest, then just plan maybe one or two things to do in the morning, take that rest, and then maybe one thing you might plan to do later in the afternoon. But what you want to do is set your priorities and look at the most important things that need to get done. Space them out during the day if that's what you need to do. And then you got 3 things planned to do today and you only got to 2 of them. Oh well, tomorrow you can try to take care of that, or push it to the end of the list and we'll see about it the next time it comes around. Don't beat yourself up because you didn't get all of these things done. One of the things that Miss Leona always talks about is giving yourself some grace, and we have to do that. We have to give ourselves some grace as we move through our day. And as I always tell my young homemakers, there's no catch up, so you're not behind. Just step in where you are. So if it's your daily routine, if it's your weekly plan, or if it's your zone work, or whatever system it is that you're using, just step in where you are and just keep it moving. Okay, let's see what people are saying as I talk about this. So Tamia says that they in California just stopped getting the yellow phone book directory a few years ago. And Charlie remembers the same thing. And understand that you'll never get everything done. And you know what? That's the thing about homemaking. Homemaking is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And this is something that Dana K. White talked about when she was on the show and in one of her books. She said, you never finish homemaking. It's not like you get it all done and then it's going to stay done forever. No, homemaking is an ongoing process. Just like, I look around in my kitchen and for the most part, it's neat. I mean, I just took this jacket off and I threw it over there, but it's nice and neat right now. But when I get off this live stream, I'm going to run the dishwasher. It's actually pretty quiet, but I didn't want to have it on because I'm sitting right here above it while we're talking. But I'm going to run the dishwasher. And then I'll do my clutter stop, my last clutter stop of the evening. There's a few things on the table over there that I need to take care of. So I'll do some things to take care of that. So that's what I'll do. And it's just never ending. Yes, Charmaine, homemaking is a system and it's something that you never finish. Now, can you completely declutter your house? Yes, you can get your house decluttered and you don't have to worry about that. So then you just have to clean. And someone, which was, Medina Jones said she had issues with all of the above. So, but I think we just kind of talked about that. But then Joy 210 said, I'm a minimalist, so housework is quick and simple. So there is something to think about there. She said she's a minimalist, so she doesn't have a lot of stuff cluttering up her environment. So housework is quick and simple. Well, number one, you can't organize clutter. And if you got a lot of clutter, you got to clean around it, lift it up and dust and all that kind of stuff. So the less stuff you have, the less stuff you have to manage. So there's something to think about there. And then the other thing is that, you know, you just have to do what you can do. And make sure you're using your routines. And that'll be very helpful as well also. Now, Gems of Grace says that her problem is feeling overstimulated. So what I'm wondering, Jim, is that if you're, maybe you're getting too much caffeine, maybe you're on some medications that make you a little jittery or something like that, or it could be that you look around your home and you see so many things to do, so you become a little bit anxious and nervous about that. If that's the case, you want to work on decluttering and decluttering and decluttering and declutter some more until you get to a point that you don't have all that stuff around to be in the way. And then cleaning can be a little bit easier. Homemaking can be a little bit easier. So there's that to think about. And then C.D. Luster agreed that energy could also be an issue. She says having enough energy, and we talked about that. Now, myself, for example, I know that my best time is in the morning. I can get up in the morning at say 5 or 6 o'clock. I can get started working and I can go. I'm the Energizer Bunny. But 1 o'clock, I'm starting to wind down. And by 3 o'clock, I'm very, very slowed down. And 4 o'clock, I am done for the day. So I will do a hard stop at 4:30 and start my dinner. But since I know that morning is my best time, I'm going to put the morning to do those tasks that I need that are priorities or that are going to take me more energy to do. If I have some creative things to do, typically I'm going to have my butt in the chair from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock because, again, I know that that earlier part of the day is when I can be most creative and most relaxed. So those are things that I know about myself. So you have to know you, and you have to know when you're most creative, when you have the most energy. So plan to do your activities when you are at your best, so that when you start to wind down, then you can, you'll have those things you need to get done already. So you just heard my garage door going up and down. Hubby was just raising the garage door to let Archie in. So he's been out. We've had really good weather today. So he's been outside most of the day, but it's starting to get a little bit windy. So we bring him in at night into the garage so that he can rest. Let's see. So now Jenny G says, feeling like my cleaning goes to waste when my family comes in behind me. You know, that's a hard one. So she says, feeling like her cleaning goes to waste when her family comes in behind her, and I'm thinking she means that her family comes behind her and makes a mess. Well, that's what happens with families. Now, depending upon how old your children are, depends upon what you can teach them to help you do. If those kids are above 5 years old, and even at 4 years old, they can start to learn to do some things in the house. You can start teaching them to help you clean the house and also help put away their things. And if you begin when they're younger, then it'll be more beneficial. If they're already, let's say, middle school or teens or even 10 years old and older, and you have not started the habit of having them help you clean, having them put things away, having them help keep things in order, then it is not too late to start that. It'll just take you a little bit more energy to get that done, and there'll be a little bit more friction to get that done, but it's not too late to do it. So one of the things that we do now is that we both help with the after dinner cleanup. So when dinner's done, I'll start clearing the table. Hubby's gonna either rinse the dishes, and now that we've got our dishwasher back, he'll get the dishes, put into the dishwasher. I'll get the pots and pans, I'll get them scraped, get the food put away. While I'm doing all of that, he's doing something else, and we both do that together in the kitchen. It has not always been that way. So, have your kids help in the kitchen, and it could be where you start. Everybody helps with the after dinner cleanup. Mom is not the maid, so have them start maybe there. Even a 3-year-old can carry a plate over from the table to the counter, and they can take a cloth and help wipe down the table. Now, it may not be wiped down the way you would like, but you're beginning to teach them. Now, whatever you're teaching them to help you do, of course, it's going to be age appropriate. But those are things you can begin to have them help you do. When you're doing laundry, if they're over 10 years old, they can start to be responsible for some form of that laundry. Maybe you prefer to run the machine, but you can be teaching them how to help you sort. They can certainly help you fold and put some things away. So begin to give them responsibility now. It is not too late to do that. And if they're teenagers and they want to give you some lip, you can say, look, this is the way it is now. I let you guys skate up until this point, but I am not the maid, and we have to work together to manage this home. So let's just see. So Hazel says as she gets older, she wants simple living as well and having a routine help. And you know what, Hazel? I'm right there too. I think I like things simpler now that I'm older. It just makes it easier. And because I don't have as much energy, simpler living just makes things so much easier for me. And Timlin says, I am the opposite. I can stay up all night, but I've been trying to do better about the morning. Timlin, what you have to do is work with your particular circadian rhythm. We all have a different circadian rhythm. We all have different points in our lives when we're up and when we're down. Me, I'm a morning person, but there are people that are evening people, and we need all kinds. We need both morning and evening people. So now, being an evening person can work for you unless you have to be at work at, say, 7:30 or 8 o'clock. If that's the case, and then the other thing, like knowing what you do, you probably need to be available during like 9 to 5, because that's when most people are at work and doing those kinds of things. So you need to be on point at that time. So a little cup of coffee giving you a little bit of extra, energy can do that. But don't take those energy drinks, like, I don't know, they call them 5 or something like that. But those energy drinks are not good for people. They can cause heart palpitations, arrhythmias. They are not good for you. So don't take those. Let's see. So Charmaine or Charlie says she's a night owl too, so it's hard for her to be an owl because most of the world does days. Yeah, you know what? That's true. That is very true. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, amen. Mommy is not the maid. You know what? And I'm discussing aging. I didn't mean to. So I Love Music says her own kids did chores and helped around the house from age 2 years old with putting away their own clothes and making their own beds. And now they're teaching their grandkids to do the same routine. And that's the thing. You want to make whatever those chores are age appropriate. So 2 and 3-year-olds, they like helping mommy and they like helping daddy. And so they can help maybe fold socks or put the socks together, or just little things like that. Maybe fold washcloths and feel like they're being a big girl or a big boy and helping. Just begin to give them little age appropriate things, and they'll be useful. So yeah. And I'm certainly teaching them to make their bed, and keeping in mind that when they make their bed, it is not going to be the way you would make it. It's just not. I mean, they're a child. It's not going to be like an adult made it. But they'll make it to the best of their ability, and you can begin to teach them what is considered acceptable. They've got their covers pulled up, that kind of thing. So you teach them what you expect. Like Fly Lady Cat's husband, Mr. B, says, inspect what you expect. And then just make sure that they're doing that. And you do have to follow up when you give your kids a chore, so to make sure that they did whatever it is that you assigned them to do. Yeah, you want to make sure that you do that. And then Timlin says she had the privilege of staying home with her daughter until she went to school. It was quite the transition for her and her husband when she started working outside the home again. Yeah, because now, Timlin, all the stuff you did when you were home, You still got to get it done, but now you're working outside the home as well. So that free day that I talk about on Tuesdays that most stay-at-home moms can use on the Fly Lady cleaning system, you don't get, because on that Tuesday free day, you're at work. So you're going to have to do some of that weekly home blessing and those kinds of things on the weekend, like on Saturday and on Sunday. But you just have to work out what works best for you and your family. Let's see, what else do we have here? I Love Music says, my teenage stepdaughter was not taught this, so now I have to, and it's going okay, but it's taken a while since she shows a lot of attitude, so I understand the struggle. You know what? Don't put up with attitude. Just tell them, say, look, we are not having any attitude about this. And if she comes and goes, like she's at your house part of the time and she's at her mom's house part of the time, so look, you know, whatever you do at your mom's house, that's between you and your mom. But when you're here, we work together here. We help manage our home as a team here, and let her learn that these are things that you need to do here, and have her do them, and make sure her father is backing you up in that, because you don't want to have, you know, the dad saying, I don't care, I don't care. And then that's going to cause problems between you and your stepdaughter, because if dad don't care, then she's going to feel like she's got some backup. So yeah, get him to agree to support you, and saying that we all work as a team. And maybe there's even something that he helps do as well. Doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be something. But whatever works for you and your family, that's what works. So if it works for you, it works for me. Let's see what else we got here. Hey, Lynn. Lynn likes slow, simple, and intentional living. She's working on being intentional more in this season of life. And you know what, Lynn? I am too. I'm really working at being more intentional in the things I do and the things I choose to do. Like today, for example, I needed to be working on my video for tomorrow. Well, you know, my video for tomorrow is not going to be ready. And I had to decide, okay, what's most important for me to get done today? I needed to make that food to take to my cousins and her family. So I did that. I wanted to get some of my daily routines done. And then I had some other paperwork that I needed to do. So I thought, okay, I won't be able to work on that video until Saturday. So hopefully I can get the video edited and uploaded on Sunday. But if not, oh well. And I had made a commitment to myself and to all of you that we would have a daily live stream for February with different homemaking tips. So that was my priority. So I thought, okay, I'll work on the video then, and then we'll see what's what. But I'm glad these daily live streams are going to be over, because trust me, they are work. Okay, let's see, what else are you guys saying? So Billy says it's a good advice about age-appropriate chores and accepting that it won't be perfect. Yes. And Linda says she enjoyed these chats. Linda, I did too. I just felt like I've been talking to my sisters this whole month, and I have absolutely loved it. And girl, Dad, I know you're on your own with that little girl. I'm thinking your little girl's what, 3? I'm not sure. Just judging from the picture that in your avatar, it looks like she's small. But let us know how things are going with you, because you know you've got that little one on your own, and you've got the same problems that any other homemaker would have, trying to teach age-appropriate behaviors and all that kind of thing. So let us know how things are going for you. And girl, Dad, tell us your name. I know you probably told us once and I forgot. I'm just calling you girl, Dad. And Lynn says, have you ever read the book Eat That Frog? It was recommended by Minimal Mom Dawn. I have not read Eat That Frog, but I've heard a lot about it. But what I do know about Eat That Frog is that it says to do the thing that's the hardest that you have to do the first part of the day. Get that done and out of the way, and then the rest of the day just seems so much easier because you've got the hardest task out of the way. Otherwise, that hard task keeps looming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah. But Eat That Frog is a very good book. Right now, I'm looking at Atomic Habits and just kind of learn how small little things can build consistency and can make big changes in your life. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Because one of the things it talks about is that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. And I had talked to Florence about this, but one of the things that I'm trying to work on is a system of getting things done. Now, I've got a system for cleaning my house. That's no problem. But being able to, like, when I'm going to get things filmed and when I'm going to get them edited and when I'm going to get them uploaded and what's on my plan for March and all that. Sometimes I'm not as good there, as I could be. Let's see. And Alberta says, that happened to her today, so she appreciates me sharing that as well. Okay, let's talk about the rest of these. So now Andre says that the wife is not on the same page as me. So now when I asked the question again was, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to homemaking? Excuse my indelicacy for snorting. But your biggest challenge when it comes to homemaking, and Andre says the wife is not on the same page as me, and that can be a struggle. So what you're going to want to do is you and she are going to have a conversation and discuss what the problem is, or not necessarily problem, but what the issue is. Why aren't you on the same page? And then what is it that you need to do differently to get what you want? And I mean the two of you. When I do my homemaking course, it's called Homemaking 201. And when I run the course, one of the things that I talk to the students about, the participants, and they're homemakers, and most of them have been young homemakers. They've been between the ages of like 25 and 30 and been married somewhere between 3 to 10 years. And one of the things that I always talk to them about is what was life like? What were the gender roles in their first family? And if you're asking yourself, first family, well, your first family is the family that you grow up in, the one that you're born into. And then when you leave that family and set up your own home and you become married, that's your second family. And when I look back on my first family, there were some very strict gender roles. For example, you guys have probably heard me complain about it, but all my brother had to do was take out the garbage and mop the floors. That was what the men did. That's what my dad did. Him and my brothers, they took out the garbage and they mopped the floors. The other thing that him and my dad did on Sunday night, they would collect all the shoes in the family. So there were 6 of us plus my mom and dad. And they would collect all the shoes and they would sit down and they would polish all the shoes and shine them so they would be ready for school for the week. So they polished all the shoes in the family once a week. And then they took out the garbage and they mopped the floor. And then in the wintertime, they shoveled the snow. And in the spring and summer, they cut the grass. That was what they did. That was what the men did. The women, the girls, we did the cooking, we did the cleaning, we did the laundry, we took care of the littles. Because, I'm the oldest girl of 6. My brother is older than me. He's 2 years older than me. Then there's me, and we're all girls from me on down. So now, I will admit, though, my mom did teach my brother how to cook. So he could cook, and he cooks very well today. And his wife has some health challenges, so he does all the cooking in their house now. So he does just about everything now because, she has some health challenges. But at home, we did everything. At least that was my perspective, that me and my sisters did everything and that him and dad did nothing. However, when I had my own family, we did things a little bit differently. I had the 2 older kids had to take turns washing dishes. My son did learn to mop the floor. My daughter didn't. We still didn't mop the floors. My husband mopped all the floors, took out the garbage. Excuse me. But he did help with the children, but I still did all the laundry and all that kind of stuff. So whereas we still had some separation of gender roles, they weren't quite as strict as when I was growing up, because I wanted some things to be just a little bit differently. And we were away from home too when we started our marriage. So there was just him and me, and we didn't have any other support. So we worked together quite a bit. So that was one thing that I really enjoyed. And that was kind of different as we kind of, grew up together. And then when my children had their own families, they worked together more than, say, we did, and then my parents did, in different ways. So some of that strict gender role isn't necessarily there now. So if you and your wife are not on the same page, you're just going to have a conversation. You might even need to get some counseling, some marital counseling. It is very helpful so that you guys can talk about what's needed. And again, the role expectations are going to be different based upon what you grew up in your first family. You may be expecting her to do this, and she's expecting you to do this, when what the expectations are not congruent at all. So think about that and have that conversation. Okay. Lynn likes Atomic Habits. Billy, I'm a live-in nanny for a family, and they love their stuff. I mean, the house is cluttered. It's hard to keep. You can't clean. Yeah, it's hard to clean around clutter. I don't know how to approach them about this. Any advice would be appreciated. Ooh, Billy. That's a hard one, Billy, because you're living in someone else's space and you're a live-in nanny. So I guess my question is this. You're a nanny. So if you're a nanny, that means you're responsible for the children and the children's spaces, not necessarily for the whole house. So one of the things that I'm thinking you could probably do, since you're responsible for the children, is teach them to put away their things. Teach them to be good stewards of whatever they have. And I know my sister used to run a home daycare. And one of the things that when it was nap time, that it would be time to clean up. And she taught all the little children, it's time to clean up, everybody clean up. And they would sing a little song, clean up, everybody clean up. And they would go around and they would pick up all the toys and throw them in the basket. Because when kids play with toys, first thing they do is dump the box out or the basket out and everything's on the floor while they look for one little thing. So begin to teach them the habits you want them to acquire. You're the nanny, you're responsible for the children, so you can begin to do that. And in the children's spaces, in their bedrooms and in their playroom, teach them that things go in a certain place. Maybe you can organize things. Maybe you can even ask the parents to invest some additional resources, either in baskets or cabinets or little cubbies, something like that, to help organize the children's things in their spaces. Keeping in mind that as the children grow, they're going to outgrow some of that stuff. So let's say they've got some toys and things that they played with when they were smaller, but they've outgrown those. Put those things away in a box or in a basket, or, put them in a space until they're ready to be donated. Or put the things away in the closet and let them only play with a few things. And the kids will typically be pleased with what they've got. And then rotate them things around so they think they've got something new. I think that could be helpful. If you guys out there have any comments or suggestions for Billy, let her know. Those are my thoughts, but what are you guys' thoughts? Some of you may have had nannies before, so that's something to think about. Hey, Dolores, glad to have you here. So again, if any of you guys have had a nanny and have some suggestions for Dolores, be sure and chime in there and let me know. Okay. So Donna Mullen says her problem is that hubby is retired. I feel your pain. Well, here's the thing. When hubby retires, all of a sudden their life has completely changed and their routine is completely different They have to create a new normal. They have to have something to do. And I remember my mom used to say that my dad would drive her crazy. She said she would get up early to go into the kitchen to do something. And she said, I would be in there a few minutes and then here he comes. What you doing? Well, he needs to have something to do. He needs a new normal. So maybe he needs to get a part-time job, or maybe he needs to volunteer somewhere, or maybe he needs a new hobby. My husband makes enough bobbers and jigs and anything to do with fishing for the free world. And then when it's time for fishing season to start, he puts them in little bags and he gives them to all his fishing friends, the kids in the fishing club. And by the time spring rolls around, it's time to be getting a boat out. So he was out cleaning the garage today because usually that first week of March is when that boat comes out. So that'll be giving him some more things to do. But, just kind of see what his interests are now. Because I think so often when people retire, they don't have a plan. And then they just sit. And then it's like, oh, so what am I supposed to do now? So when I retired, one of the things that I kind of did gung-ho was I really dived into my YouTube channel. Now, I didn't have it solidified at that point that it was going to just be homemaking. I was trying a little of this and I was trying a little of that. But I met a lot of people like Miss Leona and a lot of others like my friend Mary at Mary's Nest. And I had a lot of fun. And that is part of what I do every day. I think about my YouTube and my YouTube community all the time because it gives me purpose. And I enjoy that. So there's that. And then Sarah says getting distracted or unmotivated, mostly due to her phone. Sarah, that phone can drive you down a rabbit hole and distract you, and then you don't get to the things you need to do. So one of the things that I would consider with the phone is if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have, or whether you're a mom or not, if you're a stay-at-home homemaker or a stay-at-home mom, if you've got things you need to do, put your phone away until you get the things done that you want to get done. Maybe you'll use the phone as a treat. So when you have your coffee or your tea, you can get the phone out and then you can do a little bit of scrolling at that time. But set a timer so that you have a hard stop as to when you have to stop looking at that phone. Put it away and then get busy working on some other things. Don't let it distract you. Now, it's easy for me to say I was going down a rabbit hole yesterday looking at different things on YouTube. Some of the shorts have been just really capturing my attention. And then the news, So I've been looking at some of that too. I should probably stop watching the news, but that's another story. So those were the responses to that poll that I put. And let me see if there was something else that I missed. So there's none there. Okay, none there. Yeah, so those are those things there that I wanted to talk about. So there's that. So what's been your biggest challenge in homemaking this month? Inquiring minds want to know. What's been your biggest challenge, and has anything we've talked about this month helped you to resolve something? Let me know. Let me just see. Whole lot watching from San Antonio. And Jane Gray says, can I say hi? Sure, Jane. Hello. And Whole lot says, the biggest challenge is a new single empty nester. Oh. Well, now, I'm not sure. Tell me, are you newly single and an empty nester, or you've been single for a while, but now you're a new empty nester? If you could clarify that, because that's two different things there. But I tell you what, when we became empty nesters, so we have 3 kids and they're 8 years apart. So when the twins left home to go to college, I remember we sat at this kitchen table and we kind of looked at each other like, oh, what are we supposed to do now? Now, we still had one child at home. He was smaller. He was in probably middle school at the time. And then he was in high school. So then we got real busy and active doing stuff with him. And so, you spend so much of your life being so-and-so's mother or so-and-so's wife. But I spent most of my life being Will's wife or being Jason and Jill's mother or Justin's mother. But most of the time it was Jason and Jill's mother because they were the oldest and we were out going to all of their events, driving for the cheerleaders or driving to cheerleading camp and going to games every weekend and driving to camps and just all this kind of stuff. And then when that ends, you forget how much a part of your life that is. Like right now, my niece is going through it with her daughter. She's in show choir. So they've been doing show choir competitions. And, those competitions start in the morning. They might go all day. They might be out of town and all of that. So a certain amount of your life is taken up doing those things. But then we had our younger son at home. And so we began to do things with him. So then we were his mom and dad. Not that we weren't all along, but when the older kids were in school, we were like Jason and Jill's mom, and that was like our identity. And then when they were gone, and now Justin is doing all kinds of stuff now. All of a sudden, I was Justin's mom when he was in high school and, PTA and all that kind of stuff. So I was busy. So by the time he left home, and it was just the two of us, we'd had a little bit of practice with having to reinvent ourselves when the nest gets emptier. But it is a change. And now, and at first, when it was just the two of us, we spent more time, like, we'd have a date night and we would go out on date night and do different things. But one of the things I always insisted on was that we still eat meals together. Now, lately, these past few months, we have spent more time eating in there in front of the TV because we've been watching important news. But I think next week I'm going to insist that we come back, that we have our meals in the kitchen at the table because, it's good that we sit there and we talk to one another. It just helps you to establish your connection, that kind of thing. We go to bed at the same time. Now, I'm not saying we go to sleep at the same time because my husband goes to sleep like a baby. He'll say, okay, he's ready to go to bed. He gets into bed and he's out. Well, I've been working all day. I've been doing this, that, and the other. So when we get ready to go to bed, now I'm like, I can relax. I can watch TV. I can do this or that. So the big TV in the room, he'll turn that off. And then I'll get my iPad out and I'll sit there and I'll watch a movie or I'll watch something on my iPad and then I'll go to sleep. But we go to bed at the same time. Because like what I always say, we are not roommates. We are a married couple, so we go to bed at the same time, and then he'll knock out, and I might be sitting there in the bed with him, but we're in the bed together. So, all right, so now let's see. Paula says she's got to get her groove back. She's been a single mama forever, raised 2 kids, and the last one just got married, and both are out of state. 2 of our 3 children are out of state, so we go to visit as often as we can. But hubby said we ain't going nowhere soon because we got to fly to get there. So there's that. But yeah, you just have to figure things out, Paula. You have to figure out what it is. This stool keeps slipping back. You have to figure out what it is that you want to do. So now that you have time, what are some of the things you've been wanting to do you just couldn't get to? Maybe you could join a book club if you like to read. Maybe you could join some kind of a sewing or quilting guild if you like to do that kind of thing. Maybe you could volunteer at the hospital and be a pink lady. Now, what's a pink lady? Well, there are those ladies that would be at the desk when you come in and they would say, can I help you? And they would tell you whether the person you're looking for, what room they're in, or they would take flowers up to the room or show you how to get here and there. Maybe you could volunteer something like that. Maybe you could volunteer at the library. There's all kind of places that need people to volunteer and need help there. So think about what is it that you enjoy doing and find a place for yourself. Now, Miss Leona is one of the busiest people I know. Not only does she do her YouTube channel, but every Wednesday she volunteers at a church where they feed people in the soup kitchen. So she does that. She's active in her church. helping to lead the ministry for, you know, when there's a death in the church and the church has a repast for the family there. She helps with that. And she told me just the other day she was about to do something else. So, you know, there's quite a few things that you can do. So you could join some kind of a ladies group, but just figure it out. Don't just sit there and like, oh, now what am I going to do? Find something to do that you enjoy. And you'll be really surprised how much you enjoy this new freedom. You really will. You really will. Yep. Don't just work and come home. You got to find something to do. And you know, you do want to get your groove back. You do want to get your groove back. And it's up to you to figure out how to do that. But it is certainly doable. And, you know, I think as women, as homemakers, we do lose ourselves. Now, girl dad, cooking up deliciousness, you're going to find that the things that I'm talking about as a homemaker that's caring for a family is going to be very similar, because you're home or you're working and then you've got that little one that you're responsible for completely, so that your life right now is revolving around this little one. And as the little one grows and gets involved in school activities and different things like that, you know, you might be the PTA dad, or you might be the carpool dad, or whatever. You're going to be busy with that child. Maybe eventually there might be, you know, another partner or not. But the day will come when that child, and you may have others, you know, by the time that day comes, because, you know, I think your kid is kind of small right now. But then you'll be finding, okay, so now I've been like so-and-so's dad for so long. Who am I now? And you'll have to reinvent yourself at that time. And it is certainly doable. So, yeah, it's certainly doable. And Dolores said she cried when her oldest left the nest. Yeah, you know what? It can be a little sad. It is different. So Billy says she's got to go. She just want to thank us for the advice. And, oh, you are welcome. You are so welcome. Yep, married, not roommates. Yep, whole lot, you know, you want to work on figuring out hobbies. And Lola says her and her husband go to bed together. He knocks out immediately and she lays awake for at least another hour. So yeah, I'm awake for at least another hour, but what I'm doing is like I'll be watching a movie or something like that on there. I do a lot of books on CD. I've got a Kindle, and I'll either be reading a book or listening to a book. So yeah. So I think, let me just see. So now let me just ask you guys, as we get ready to wrap this up, as we get ready to land the plane, as Sean Cannell always says, you know, March is just around the corner, and I'm trying to think, and when I say around the corner, it's like tomorrow. So I'm trying to think about what's going to be our theme for March. And so many people get into spring cleaning for March. So that's something we can consider talking about. But I would like to know, what is it that you would like for us to focus on for March? Oh, and don't let me forget too, next Wednesday when we do our Life of a Home Cook. Remember, next Wednesday at 7:45 p.m. we'll be live with Miss Leona on her channel. And we're going to be doing that planner show. So you guys had asked about that. And so she's going to put some things together, and I need to find the note she sent me so I can put something on the community tab so you guys can prepare. Oh, and also I had mentioned that I was going to have a printable for you guys for the spice pantry, and my assistant got it done, and I will link it in the description box as soon as we're off today. I will link it in this one, and then I'll look it on one where we did the spice one too. But yeah, I'll get that linked up. She did a beautiful job on that, so I'll be real pleased with that. You'll be real pleased with that. But what are some things you want to talk about? Spring cleaning with a twist, where we look at some areas that are often overlooked, whether or not spring cleaning is necessary. Cleaning products. We want to talk about meal planning, maybe seasonal meal planning, because as the spring comes around, we have more things that are available more seasonal fresh produce, except that who knows what's going to be available with all the different tariffs and things like that that are being talked about. Grocery prices are getting crazy, so we'll have to see what we're able to talk about and to do. Pantry challenge or organization, is that something you guys want to have? I was watching this channel, Three Rivers Homestead or something like that, and they were having a pantry challenge, and there were a whole bunch of other ladies, and they all had homesteads that was in there with them. But I thought it was so interesting. They had this pantry challenge, and they had to cook meals from their pantry. So I thought, well, that could be something that we could consider doing too for March. And I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think that we should consider for March? Let me know in the chat if you're on the live tribe, and in the comments if you're here on the replay. Let me know. Let me just see what people are saying over here. So Hola says the Libby app is great. Yes, and I have a new iPad. I got a smaller one. This one is my old one, and so look at the difference in size. This is the 13-inch. This is the 11-inch. And I got the 13-inch when I was working, and I would take it to meetings and stuff like that. And I like the big screen, but what I find now is that it is heavy, and it doesn't fit into my purse, and it's starting to wear down. You know, I'm having trouble with it, which is why I got a new one. And I made a concerted effort to get the smaller one. And then I was like, gosh, this thing is little, but it fits in my purse. So I'm glad I have it. I was going to trade the bigger one in, but I decided to keep it because I still use them both. So we'll see. But yes, whose channel is Leona? Oh, hold on, you're new here. So Miss Leona is a friend of mine. She's my YouTube sister from another mister. And her channel is called Ebony. I'm gonna try not to slip off this stool. Her channel is called Ebony, Ivy, and Time with Leona. And she is a home cook extraordinaire. Girlfriend, if you need to learn how to cook some things, she cooks it up. And she's very patient. She shows you how to make nice meals for your family. Meals that are nutritious, meals that are filling, meals that can stretch. And you know who else does that too is Girl Dad Cooking Up Deliciousness. His channel is a cooking one also, and he cooks it up over there as well. So you might want to check him out too. But yeah, that's who Leona is. So we do the Wednesday night shows together most of the time. We don't have to, and we don't always, but it's just like when I'm doing my Wednesday night show, I just feel like a little bit adrift if she's not there. I'm so used to her presence, and we're both pretty chatty. And then she enjoys having my company. It's like we're the dynamic duo, and people enjoy seeing us together. So her channel is Ebony, Ivy, and Time with Leona. So do check us out on Wednesday at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to work on planners. And I'll put that list up and the link too. I have to go back and see what she sent me so we can see what supplies that you'll need to have for us to work on. Okay. So Hazel says for March, she's getting her gardening in full swing. And you know, I was thinking next week is time for spring break. And my husband was like, you still get a spring break? And I'm like, well, when I was working at the first college that I was teaching at, the first week of March was always spring break. So Monday is March 3rd or 2nd or something like that, but it's the first week of March. And I'm like, oh, it's time for spring break. And I remembered that first week I would always spend time, if it wasn't too cold, cleaning up my garden space, and I would get out my containers and I would plant my herbs. So I'm going to start my herb garden hopefully next week, and I'll bring you guys along for some of that because you know I love to grow herbs and then use them fresh as I cook, and then I'll dry them and preserve them. So I'm going to get that started. But it's too cold to have gardening in full swing here. So Hola says she's a self-employed maid of 30 years and cooking sounds good. Yeah, I'm in Indiana and it's cold for the most part. Like We were probably at about 40 degrees, but it was really windy. So like in the early spring, it's like it is wind, wind, wind. So yeah. Okay, Dolores says spring cleaning and getting rid of stuff you don't use. Tudu, hey Tudu, how are you? Peaches, hello. Good. I'm glad you subbed to Leona. You will love her channel. Hola is Missy. Okay, so well, remember, ladies, let's say hello to Missy. She's new to our channel. So let's say hello to her. Missy, where are you? Timberland, how did you know? I did. So Timberland, when I used to teach at Ivy Tech, which was Indiana Vocational Technical College. It was our technical or our community college here in town. So I taught at 2 diploma schools before I went to Ivy Tech. And I was there for 20 years at Ivy Tech. I was their program chair of nursing there. And then I left there and started a nursing program somewhere else. And then I left there and went to IPFW, or Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne. And at that time, it was a community university and they were joined. And there was IU and Purdue, but they were one university. They each had their own student services and things like that, but they were one university. And then I can't be sure how many years it's been because I've been retired long enough that I've kind of forgotten when I retired. I think I've been retired almost 7 years maybe. But just before I retired, the state made the decision to separate them. So now they're still on the same campus, but it's now Indiana University Fort Wayne and Purdue University Fort Wayne, and Indiana University Fort Wayne retained possession of all the health care programs. So nursing, medicine, dental, all that kind of stuff. You know, IU or Indiana University Fort Wayne did that. And Purdue Fort Wayne retained all the liberal arts courses. So when I worked for Purdue before, it was IPFW or Indiana Purdue, and they just called it IPFW or Purdue. Now it's Purdue Fort Wayne or IU Fort Wayne. So yeah, how'd you figure that out? That is just too funny. So Missy said she wanted to be a nurse, but didn't work out that way. Timberland, you're a Hoosier? No, I didn't know that. So you live in Louisville, been there for 16 years. Where were you in Indiana? Oh, and yeah, guys, Timberland is new here too. This is the first time I think she's joined our channel. She's a friend of mine though. But yeah, Missy, come back again, Missy. I won't be doing these daily live streams, but I usually will do a video every week. And then on Wednesday, me or Miss Leona will do a live stream. Oh, you said it was like IUPUI, yes, exactly. It was like IUPUI, but at the Fort Wayne campus. Did you go to IUPUI? Because I went to IUPUI too for my nursing program. I went to Bloomington for the first year because, you know, you had to go to Bloomington to get your undergrad courses. And then when you were actually admitted into the nursing program, you had to go to IUPUI. So I went to IUPUI for 3 years. And when we got married, we lived the first few years in Indianapolis. So yeah, imagine, I didn't know that. So you were born in Terre Haute and then your family moved to Evansville before you turned 9. Okay, all right. Molly says that she's loved my videos and these live sessions. They have really been a lot of fun. Oh, Elkhart's like what, 45 minutes from here? Yeah. Yeah, and so it's the first time she stuck around for a lot. You know, Timberland, we have a lot of fun over here. We really do. And I enjoy these lives so much. And Carol from My Blessed Nest is here. Girl, you are late to the party. We are just about to wrap it up. We have had so much fun this February season, though. We really have had so much fun. And guys, I want you guys to know this Carol from My Blessed Nest, she has a lovely channel where she talks about thrifting. And she's the one that made me start using that rice cooker. Because we were on, like, she and I, we've been friends on YouTube for a long time. Like I said, I met a lot of people on YouTube, and she's one of the ones that I met. And we both used to participate in different challenges and things like that as we learned our YouTube craft. And we were on, I don't even remember whose show, what it was, whatever, a few weeks ago, and I had mentioned that I had that rice cooker, and I showed it, not even had ever taken it out of the box. And she said, I want to see the next time you show up, I want to know that you've used that rice cooker. And I thought, I am not going on another show. And Carol pops in, and I haven't used that rice cooker. And there was a couple of you guys on too that saw that. And I got that puppy out, and I've not only used it once or twice, I've used it 3 or 4 times. And I showed my husband how to use it. So he was very impressed with it as well. So yes, love the rice cooker, Carol. So thank you so much for encouraging me, for inspiring me, and challenging me to do that. So yeah. Oh, Peaches, I don't know. And I tell you, maybe in April, I don't know. This stool keeps scooting back. At the end of March, I plan to do my Laundry Lab challenge. So the Laundry Lab challenge is going to involve a laundry master class. And then after the master class, you'll be invited to join the 3 or 4 day challenge. And at the end of the challenge, you'll be able to master your laundry. You'll be able to do laundry. You won't have some of the stumbling blocks that you have. You'll feel such a sense of accomplishment. But I got to finish working on that. And so I distracted myself quite a bit with these daily live streams. So there was time that I should have spent working on that Laundry Lab challenge. So I definitely won't do a daily live stream in March. Now, when April comes, that'll be Veda, or video every day in April. So who knows, I might consider something like that then. But I don't know, because these daily live streams really take a lot of work. They really do. And if I do them in the kitchen, then my husband has to go on mute because, he's in there trying to watch the ball game. And he's been so good. He really has. He's been so good not to complain. But I'm pushing it. So I don't know. I'm not going to be doing a daily live stream for a while. Oh, Carol, thank you. Thank you. So you guys, Carol at My Blessed Nest, do consider following her. Her channel's a lot of fun, and she does a lot of thrifting and different things like that. And I told you guys, Girl Dad Cooking Up Deliciousness, Miss Fiona at Ebony Ivy and Time. And Lynn says she's working on being a Christian life coach. Okay, that sounds interesting as well. So listen, we have been on much longer than I ever anticipated. But it has really been fun. It really has been fun, and I almost hated to see this series end. And I don't know, I guess this 8 o'clock time slot was really a pretty good time to jump on. I was thinking Friday night everybody would be busy, but it just worked out that turned out to be the time that was best, and I'm glad I did. So I am going to wrap things up. I'm going to see you guys next time. If I don't see you in a video, hopefully I'll see you next Wednesday at 7:45 p.m. Eastern on a live stream. And thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Bye now.